Good evening. It's my pleasure to be before you once again on behalf of the Cook County Bar Association, the world's oldest African American bar association, formed right in the city of Chicago in 1914. Today we have a very sophisticated topic.
Well, thank you.
Sophisticated topic. Today's guest is Gary Sinclair, and he'll be talking about cryptocurrency, which again is a very, as we say, a next level topic. Mr. Sinclair, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I've been practicing law for 41 years. I graduated from Loyola School of Law in 1977 and practiced in the area of commodity futures and securities for most of my career. I did a little bit of general practice, but mostly in the area of commodity futures and securities.
When you did securities, were you working for somebody or were you on your own?
On my own, I basically would provide some regulatory assistance and occasionally handled cases for customers who had lost money at the hands of a broker.
Would you sue the broker?
Yeah, do an arbitration. And I did many arbitrations, both defending and suing commodity firms where brokers had misled their customers.
How did you get into that?
Well, I actually started before I went to law school. I started at Merrill Lynch as a bookkeeper and learned the bookkeeping side of securities, and then ended up getting into the commodity futures area and worked on the trading floor. I was a trader at the CME for a number of years, so I decided that was the best place.
At one time I had a Series 63 and a Series 7.
Sure. I had both of those for some period of time, maybe a couple of years, but most of the work I did was in the futures area.
Marvelous, marvelous. That is a very sophisticated area.
Yes, it is, and that's sort of what led me into the area of cryptocurrencies and starting to learn and work with that because, let's put it this way, they carry the same kind of risk, which is a high risk as an investment. So I felt it was a great thing for me to learn about.
Excuse me, Mr. Sinclair.
Sure.
We want you to call in. Now, again, this is a sophisticated topic.
It is.
But we're not going to use the word dumb it down, but he's going to make it plain. He's going to explain it so that both, I can understand it as well. Because the Cook County Bar Association is about giving you bread and butter information on things that you can use. And I'm hoping that we're having some attorneys tuning in, because this seems to be an area of law that's breaking. For attorneys to have that background in securities, perhaps they may want to get into it.
They may want to, but when I discuss it a little more,
Sure.
you'll realize that it actually affects people who are in real estate.
Okay.
People who are involved with moving food and commodities around.
Well, give us a definition of cryptocurrency. Am I pronouncing that right?
Sure, cryptocurrency. Well, a cryptocurrency is basically an asset. It's an electronic asset. You don't hold it, you can't get a coin, although they do have pictures that they use to represent the coin. And that asset is basically held in what's called a distributed ledger. In other words, the ledger is handled and can be viewed by anybody who has access to the internet.
Okay.
That doesn't mean you'll be able to know who's doing the transactions, but the codes for the transactions are available to everyone, and they are on thousands and thousands and maybe even millions of computers around the world. So that's why one of the reasons people feel they're safe is because it becomes next to impossible to change that ledger.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
All right. I'll use the term liquid.
Yes.
Okay, when I use the term liquid, ladies and gentlemen, it means that this is ready cash and this is something that's at your disposal. Is that fair in terms of being liquidity?
Yes, there is definitely liquidity. It depends on the cryptocurrency you're involved with. Some are more liquid than others, but certainly people who look at Bitcoin and some of the other top cryptocurrencies can pretty much trade it fairly freely.
Well, how does it work, Mr. Sinclair?
All right, so if you're interested in buying Bitcoin, for instance, you take and you send your US dollars or whatever currency, whatever fiat currency, and then I mean the country's currency, like euro dollars or that type of thing, to an exchange. And there are over 200 exchanges worldwide. And there are a few that are specifically based in the United States. And I would feel more comfortable dealing with a US exchange. So you send your money to the exchange. In the exchange, you open an account there. And when you have your account, you then have dollars, and you can check your price. They will show what's called a currency pair, US dollars versus Bitcoin. So how many dollars are needed to buy one Bitcoin? Right now, it's about $3,200. But you can do fractions of Bitcoins as well.
Mrs. Gill, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Okay, so you need ready cash in order to buy the crypto coin.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you have to have ready cash. Now, you saying in terms of for dollar, if I understood you right, I think you said $32. Is that right?
$3,200.
$3,200.
For one Bitcoin right now. But the price of the Bitcoin constantly fluctuates. If any of you have any familiarity with international currencies, you know the dollar versus the euro or the dollar versus the Canadian dollar is constantly changing. Same thing with the cryptocurrencies. The price is constantly changing.
Okay, you said was that one coin?
One Bitcoin.
One
Yes.
Bitcoin. In US dollars, how much is that Bitcoin worth?
$3,200 right now.
Okay.
But you can buy fractions.
Okay.
Probably down to $10 or $15. A fraction that'd be worth 10 or 15 US dollars.
Okay. Explain blockchain.
Okay. So the whole concept of the cryptocurrency is based on an invention called the blockchain. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's a chain of blocks. The blocks are the transactions. They are chained together by codes so that each block in the chain must follow the next. And therefore, you can't change the blocks once they're created in the chain. And that information is available online. The blockchain information, the one that shows a transaction, for instance, that would be the purchase of a cryptocurrency, is in that blockchain. And then when you sell it, it shows in that blockchain. And as well, and if we may get into this later, mining cryptocurrencies also appears on the blockchain.
What is the difference between a blockchain and cryptocurrency?
Well, the cryptocurrency is the actual value. The blockchain is the place where the record is kept.
Mr. Sinclair, excuse me. The phone number is 312-738-1060. 312-738-1060. We know this is a sophisticated topic, but we
Yes.
still want our audience to call in because this is something I think is, as we say in the business, on the cutting edge.
This is on the cutting edge. The Bitcoin was originally created in 2008. And I would say because of the economic recession that we suffered around that time, it wasn't very popular. But as we started climbing out of the recession and there was more publicity about Bitcoin, good and bad, people started to get more interested in using Bitcoin.
Okay.
And the other cryptocurrencies which have been created after it.
What are the 10 most popular forms of cryptocurrency being exchanged on the marketplace?
Okay, well, it's constantly changing, but I'll give you some examples. Bitcoin is still number one. Then there's something called Bitcoin Cash, which is sort of a more sophisticated form of Bitcoin, makes it easier to transact. One of the issues with Bitcoin, and this is rather esoteric, it takes a certain amount of time for that transaction to be completed. Bitcoin Cash is faster. So some people will use Bitcoin Cash. Then there's Litecoin. Litecoin is another form of cryptocurrency, and that can be moved very quickly. Then there's a currency that is the basis of many others, which is called Ethereum. And the Ethereum is the basis because the Ethereum blockchain can be used for many purposes, including creating something called a smart contract. So it's not just the currency. And there's a currency, sort of a strange one, that's called BAT, B-A-T. That is a currency that they're trying to promote to use among advertisers, publishers, and users of the internet. The reason is that right now, if you are an advertiser and you want to buy a keyword on Google, it could cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars. And Google keeps over 70% of that money. So if this new BAT is a way around Bitcoin, around Google's control of the market, but you have to use a different browser.
Mr. Scott, let me ask you this.
Sure.
Can this be used in a typical real estate transaction?
If somebody's willing to accept it.
Okay, and because I know, okay, in terms of let's make it plain.
Yeah.
The typical real estate transaction,
Right.
you have a loan, unless it's all cash deal.
Right.
You have a loan. A lot of times, you may need to bring money to the table, meaning that you have your earnest money.
Correct.
You have your loan in place. They wire the money in from the lender.
Right.
And then 9 times out of 10, you have to bring X amount of dollars as sort of as a down payment to go along with your earnest money, to go along with your loan to purchase the property.
Exactly.
Would this currency be able to be used in a transaction like that?
If the bank or the party on the other side you're dealing with is willing to accept it.
Okay, because usually we're dealing with a title company.
Well, right. Title companies tend to be slow to change. But there are retailers who do accept Bitcoin and some of the other currencies for purchases. In fact, you can get a credit card that's a Bitcoin credit card. Okay? And you can use that with your Bitcoin and it automatically converts it to dollars. So that's how it works. Now,
Okay.
and I do want to mention one other type of cryptocurrency, which is very interesting. And those are cryptocurrencies such as Ripple. And Ripple allows you to transfer money internationally instantaneously without using the international SWIFT system, which is how it takes 3 to 5 days sometimes to transfer money internationally. The Ripple concept allows you to put your money in, it gets converted to Ripple, the Ripple's transferred, then the Ripple gets converted to the other currency in the foreign country, and that transaction can happen almost instantaneously.
So in other words, if you're doing a transaction
Yes.
overseas,
Sure.
if this type of currency is acceptable, this would be a way to be liquid enough to do a purchase almost instantaneously.
Correct.
Am I using the right terminology?
Yes, you are.
Is there a limit? When I say a limit, is there a limit in terms of how much money, whether it's dollar, euro, franc, or whatever, that can be used in terms of a transaction?
I mean, it can be done in the millions, so there's no reasonable limit, for so to speak. I mean, I don't know if any of us are in the category of doing transactions in the millions.
Not yet, but we would like
we
to.
hope to be there.
We would certainly like to.
So that's how Ripple, and there are some others that can be used in that way.
Mr. Sinclair, can you use cryptocurrency as security?
It's not a security. It is considered, well, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission let me step back. The Securities Exchange Commission has determined that in most cases, a cryptocurrency is not a security. I don't want to get into the legal aspects of why it isn't, because that's very complex. However, the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, which is the commodity futures arm of the federal government, has claimed that because there are Bitcoin futures, Bitcoin is a commodity. Now, Commodity Futures Trading Commission really only has jurisdiction over the futures that are used, not over the commodities, cash commodity itself. But they have done some work and some prosecution on people who have defrauded people in the cryptocurrency area.
I see. Now, what type of assets are, am I using the right term? What type of assets can be used to secure by cryptocurrency, and if you're using it that way?
I don't think that you could, at this time, use a cryptocurrency to secure an asset. The reason is that it fluctuates. So, I'll give you an example, which I'm sure you're familiar with. People will use bonds as security, right? But a bond doesn't fluctuate very much, and you can use about 90% of the value of the bond. If it's a government bond, maybe 80% of a corporate bond, and with securities, 50%. But it's all denominated in dollars. Now, I don't believe they've gotten to the point yet where cryptocurrencies are going to be accepted as a form of security because the degree of sophistication isn't there yet.
Because a bond, correct me if I'm wrong, a bond is a tangible asset, is that? In terms that is readily ascertainable that you can get your hands on it.
Well, that's true, but that's the same thing with the cryptocurrency. You can readily trade that cryptocurrency for US dollars on one of 200 exchanges.
Okay. Again, our number is 312-738-1060. 312-738-1060. Again, this program is being brought to you by the Cook County Bar Association. Our number is 312-630-1157. 312-630-1157, extension 21. That is our law referral program, Mr. Sinclair. And I'm not quite sure people are going to be calling in on this particular topic. But again, in terms of the Bar Association.
Sure.
But the Cook County Bar Association is very serious about bringing lawyers to the community. Now, back again. What is the name of the marketplaces that exchange cryptocurrency?
I can give you the name of a couple
Okay.
in the United States. One is Coinbase. Okay, it's located in San Francisco. Another one is Kraken, which is also located in San Francisco. Coinbase, I think, is a little newer, and you can open up individual accounts at Coinbase. Kraken is a little more sophisticated, and you can actually open up corporate accounts as well as individual accounts at Kraken.
I see. Now, what type of role would an attorney play in a cryptocurrency exchange?
In the exchange of cryptocurrencies or in a cryptocurrency exchange where they trade cryptocurrency?
You pick the scenario.
Okay, so let's say you work for a cryptocurrency exchange. Well, you're going to have to. There are no separate brokerage firms right now. For instance, if you go to Merrill Lynch, or I don't know if they're still around, but you go to Interactive Brokers and you open an account, one of the things they have to do is make sure that you're not on one of the anti-money laundering lists and check and make sure who you are, your identity, your customer identification, that type of thing. Same thing with these cryptocurrency exchanges. So to open an account at a cryptocurrency exchange, they will require a copy of your license, a photograph of your license, and information regarding you so they can be sure you're not laundering money or from a country that doesn't allow that the U.S. doesn't
They'll
know
be
how to
tapping
trade
in
with.
very quickly into a database to see if your
Oh,
name is
yeah.
popping up.
Right, there are government databases that have that information that you can, at the at the Department of Treasury.
Because money laundering is still serious.
Absolutely. In fact, one of the reasons people believe that Bitcoin became popular for a while was because it was able to be used in money laundering, because you can't really track it. You can track it on the blockchain, but it's anonymous. Okay, and there are other cryptocurrencies they've created that are even more anonymous than that.
But you, as the owner, you know it is your money.
It's your money, right? Exactly.
And the outsider cannot determine whose money it is.
Well, I would say that if it was in the United States and the federal government subpoenaed the exchange, they could get the records of what you've put in and taken out. But you don't necessarily need an exchange to transfer cryptocurrency. You use the exchange to turn dollars into crypto and crypto back into dollars. But if people are exchanging cryptocurrency to cryptocurrency, in other words, they're trading in Bitcoin and don't have to turn it into dollars, there's no record.
So if I understand you right, Mrs. Sinclair, okay, it's basically anonymous.
Basically anonymous.
The outsider would not be able to know it's yours.
That's correct.
And the only way that it could be determined, if I'm understanding you correctly, if the federal government wanted to find out, first they'll have to subpoena it.
Of course.
Okay, because that to me that seems a little bit, that's room for mischief if somebody's up to something that they had no business doing
Right.
in terms of trying to move some money quickly.
That's correct.
Now, in terms, Mr. Sinclair, because again, we pride ourselves on trying to give bread and butter information.
Sure.
How about your typical middle class person? Is this something that a middle class person can use?
Probably not. I would say that it's a very risky area to get involved in. Most people who are involved in cryptocurrencies are speculators. They're basically gambling on whether the price will go up or down. Now, if you want to take a couple of $100 and buy some cryptocurrency, just be ready to lose it. And maybe it will go up, and if it goes up, then you can sell it and take your profit. But unless, it's like going to Vegas. When you go to Vegas, how much money are you going to spend, right? How much money are you going to gamble? You're going to gamble what you can afford to gamble, what you can afford to lose.
Right.
I would say the same thing in cryptocurrency. But the great thing about it is you don't have to leave your chair. It's right in front of you on your computer screen. You see the movement of the currency second by second. So if that is something that you're interested in doing, even to play around, even for entertainment purposes, then I would look at it. I would not consider it as an investment, like a security, unless you trade penny stocks, and that's sort of the same kind of risk.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Sinclair, just being honest with you, this is not for amateurs.
This is not for amateurs. There is a lot of studying to do, but there is plenty of information available on the internet.
Mr. Sinclair, we got about 30 seconds. You had the last word.
I would say that what we need to look for in the future for attorneys and even individuals is this creation of these smart contracts. That is really what over, I would say, the next 10 years is going to be the legacy of the cryptocurrency that was created, the smart contract.
And that can be used for real estate.
That can be used in real estate. It is being used right now in the distribution chain of food. For example, you can track food from farm to table
Okay.
because it's all recorded in the blockchain.
Mr. Sinclair, it's been a pleasure.
Thank
We're
you
going to have
for
to bring
having
you
me.
back. And I think when we bring you back, we're going to try to focus on the smart contract. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Cook County Bar Association, God bless you.